Room 417. I hate this room. I love this room. The smell. The first thing that hits you when you walk in is the smell. It is a mix of expensive bourbon, something heavy, like old leather, and another scent I can never quite place. Maybe it is the smell of power. It is David's smell. I breathe it in, deep. I am not just cheating on my husband. I am cheating on my entire life. My life smells different. My life smells like tear-free baby shampoo, and the dry food we feed our golden retriever, and the organic lavender cleaning spray I like. My life is beige. A perfect, sterile, carefully chosen shade of beige. I chose it myself. I am Sarah, one of the top interior designers in Austin. I created this perfect beige house in Tarrytown. I built this perfect beige life with Mark. And then I met David, and I realized I was suffocating in all that beige. I am standing by the panoramic window. In the dark reflection, I see a woman my husband would not recognize. I am 42 years old. I am in a silk dress that does not hang in my closet at home. It stays in the trunk of my Tesla. David is in the shower. I can hear the muffled sound of water hitting the tile. On the nightstand, there are two phones. My iPhone 15 Pro, the real one. And an old Google Pixel, the secret one. The real phone is silent. I told Mark I was at the job site. That is our family code. It means do not disturb. Mark is the perfect husband. He never disturbs. I think about him. 5 years ago, he was a genius, the golden boy of the tech world. He sold his startup for a price that let us buy this house, this life, all of it. And then he burned out. He went from being the man who won me over to being a roommate. He sits at home. He says he consults, but really, he just exists. He makes the kids perfect breakfasts. He mows the lawn as if the fate of the world depends on it. He has become the perfect background. Beige. The phone vibrates. Sharp, nasty. My real phone. I almost dropped my glass. The screen lights up with a notification from Ring, our front door camera. It says motion has been detected. My heart seizes up so tight it hurts to breathe. This is foolish. It is probably just an Amazon driver. I open the app. On the screen is my front porch. And on it is Mark. He is not in his beige shorts. He is in that dark blue suit, the one I picked out for him 2 years ago. In his hands, he is holding a huge bouquet. Peonies. My favorite. I look at the time stamp in the corner. Tuesday, 2:14 p.m. He is supposed to be at the gym. This is his gym time. In that same instant, the phone explodes with a call. Mark. I panic and stab the decline button. A text message comes through immediately. It was a surprise. Mark wrote that he was tired of sitting at home. He had decided to come pick me up from my so-called job site. He asked if we could meet downstairs in 10 minutes. He said he had booked a table at Uchi. I stare at the name of the restaurant. Uchi. I stare at the date on the phone. November 16th. The shower door opens. David steps out, steam rolling out around him like fog. He smiles. I ask him, in a whisper, unable to look away from the phone, what today's date is. He answers lazily that it is the 16th. The 16th. Oh God. It is our anniversary. Our 15th. I forgot. I am in a flat-out panic. I stare at his message. 10 minutes. He is downstairs. He is in the lobby. David, still wrapped in a towel, calmly asks what is wrong, why I have gone so pale. I lie. I lie in a way I have never lied in my life. I say it is a client, that there is a crisis at the job site, something burst, something is burning. Something stupid, terrible, and immediate. David just gives a lazy shrug. He says it is a real shame the evening is ruined. He does not even offer to help. He just waits for me to leave. I dress frantically. My hands are shaking. I cannot even get my foot into my high-heeled shoe. I try to wipe the smell of David, the smell of room 417, from my neck. I run out the door without a goodbye. The elevator. Every second the car crawls downward feels like an eternity. In the mirrored wall, I see my reflection. A cornered woman with wild eyes and smeared lipstick. That is not me. The lobby. I walk, forcing myself not to run, scanning the crowd. Every man in a blue suit looks like Mark. I slip past the front desk, praying he is not standing at the entrance, praying he is waiting in his car. I push through the heavy glass door. The cold November Austin air hits me. I am free. I get into my Tesla. My hands are clamped to the steering wheel. I am angry. I am not angry at myself. I am angry at Mark. Angry that he dared. Angry that he remembered. Angry that he ruined my day, my secret, my only escape. Angry that he chose today, of all days, to be a husband. I drive through the city, and I remember. I remember exactly why I was able to forget. It is because there is nothing to celebrate. Our anniversary died 5 years ago. Right along with the man I married. He is not a monster. Mark is a good man. But he stopped trying. He stopped seeing me. He became the perfect background. My best roommate. I bought the most expensive lingerie. I signed up for dance classes. I colored my hair. And he would thank me for dinner, kiss my forehead, and go read to the kids. He replaced passion with comfort. And comfort is a slow death for a woman who is not ready to die. David saw me. He was not beige. He was red and black. He did not see a mom or a wife. He saw a designer. He saw a woman. He gave me back to myself. I send Mark a text message. I lie again. I say my phone died, that I was on a site with no signal, that I only just saw his message. I write that I am almost home. I park in the driveway of our perfect house. I rehearse the lie one more time. My heart is pounding. I am ready for a fight. For yelling. For tears. I am ready for anything. I walk in. The house is empty. A perfect, ringing silence. On the kitchen island, on the white marble I spent 3 months picking out, there are no flowers. There is no Mark. There is only one folder. With an official-looking seal. From the law firm Vinson and Elkins. I open it. It is not an anniversary card. It is divorce papers. And on top, there is a note. Not handwritten. Typed. Mark wrote that Uchi was cancelled. That the children were at his mother's house. That my things would be at my mother's house by 5 o'clock on Friday. And he requested that I not call him. The folder. I just stare at it. My hands will not do what I tell them to do. I try to call Mark. His phone is off. I frantically dial my daughter's number. Her phone is off. My son's. Off. He took them. He turned off their phones. He cut me off. Panic, cold and sticky, rises in my throat. This cannot be happening. Not Mark. Not my quiet, predictable, beige Mark. He would never do this. But he did. I am standing in the middle of my perfect kitchen, and the floor just drops out from under me. My world, the one I had built so carefully, is collapsing like a house of cards. What to do? What to do? I call David. My rock. My red. My savior. He has to help me. He has to fix this. I am sobbing into the phone the second he answers. I am yelling that Mark knows everything. That he filed for divorce. That he took the kids. That my life is over. On the other end of the line, there is silence. Not the quiet jazz from room 417. This is the silence of an office. David's voice is not the voice of a lover. It is the voice of an investor. He calmly tells me to get a grip on myself. He says I sound hysterical. I choke on that word. Hysterical? My life is ending, and I sound hysterical? I ask him what I am supposed to do, where I am supposed to go. I remind him of what he promised. We. He cuts me off sharply. He asks what we. He asks what I thought was going to happen. He says I am an adult. That we were both just having fun. I cannot believe what I am hearing. Fun? I tell him I love him. I tell him I thought. He laughs. It is a cold laugh, as cold as the marble on my kitchen island. He asks what I thought. That he was going to throw everything away for me? I am silent. He continues. He says I have become a risk. That he is not getting involved in my messy divorce. That his wife would not appreciate it. I freeze. His wife? I whisper, asking what he just said. He sighs. The sound a person makes when they are explaining something to a child. He says he has been married for 25 years. That his wife, Laura, is his main business partner. I ask him why he lied. He laughs again. He says that of course he lied. We both lied, darling. It is just that his lie was more profitable. He advises me not to call him anymore. He says his lawyer will get in touch with mine, if Mark decides to make his life difficult. He hangs up. I just stand there. The phone slips from my hand and hits the floor with a dull thud. Silence. The empty house. My perfect, beige, sterile house. I lost my husband. I lost my children. And I just lost my lover. All in 1 hour. I was completely alone. I do not know how long I sat there on the floor. An hour. Maybe 2. It was dark. The house I had designed to be so full of light had become a tomb. Every shade of beige I had so carefully chosen now seemed like the color of dust, the color of death. I was not just dumped. I was used. By David. My red. He was not my savior. I was his entertainment. His wife, the word just hammered inside my skull like a dead bird. I was a fool. A 42-year-old, selfish fool. I was crying, but not for Mark. I was crying from the humiliation. Then I heard a sound. A key in the lock. I froze. My heart just stopped. The door opened. It was Mark. He was not in the suit. He was in his usual, beige polo shirt. His shorts. As if he had just gotten back from the gym. He walked right past me, sitting on the floor in the entryway, as if I were a bag of trash. He went into the kitchen. I heard the coffee machine turn on. The grinding of the beans. That sound, the sound of our ordinary, boring life, sounded like a gunshot in the silence. He came back into the hall. He had a cup of espresso in his hand. He looked down at me. And for the first time in 5 years, I saw something in his eyes. Not anger. Not pain. Curiosity. He calmly asked if I wanted some coffee. I could not speak. I whispered, asking where the children were. He replied that the kids were fine. That they were at his mother's. That they would be staying there for the weekend. He took a sip of his coffee. And then he asked how my meeting went. He asked if my supplier was happy. I started to stammer. Something about an emergency. The lie I had rehearsed in the car. He held up a hand. He told me to stop. He said it was boring. He asked if I enjoyed the champagne. He wondered if the view of Cliquot had been cold enough. I went silent. I asked him how he knew. Mark laughed. It was not his quiet, polite chuckle. It was a real, loud laugh, the kind I had not heard in years. He said that, of course, he knew. He was the one paying for it. He walked over to his briefcase, the one that usually sat collecting dust in the corner of his office, and pulled out a stack of papers. He dropped them into my lap, right there on the floor. They were statements. Printouts from our joint credit card. He said I had gotten careless. That I must have mixed up the cards in my hurry. And then he started to read. June 16th. Hotel Zaza. Room 417. Champagne and room service. July 19th. Hotel Zaza. Room 417. August 2nd. September 28th. November 1st. And today. November 16th. He knew. He did not just know about the affair. He knew where. He knew when. He knew the room number. He had been silently paying the bills. For 6 months. I stared up at him, and I did not recognize this man. This was not my beige, burned-out husband. I asked him why. Why he had stayed silent. Why he had just paid. He finished his espresso. He put the cup down. He said he stayed silent because he needed me. He needed me right where I was. Happy. Distracted. He said I was right that he had burned out. But I was wrong about the reason. He said that for the last 5 years, he had not been consulting. He had been hunting. I did not understand what he was talking about. He said he was hunting one man. The man who had stolen his first piece of code and ruined his first company 10 years ago. The man who thought Mark was a harmless, broken idiot. He said he needed to get close to this man. He needed this man to trust him. And he said this man always had one weakness. He loved taking things that he thought belonged to Mark. I stared at him, and the room seemed to tilt. My brain refused to connect the words. The man who loved taking things that belonged to Mark. I did not understand. I whispered that I did not understand. Mark smiled. He said that, of course, I did not understand. He asked who I had thought he meant. I said nothing. He said he was talking about David. My blood felt like it had stopped moving. I could not breathe. David? Mark nodded. He said David was not just some random rich man. He said David was his former partner. His best friend. 10 years ago. The man who had stolen his code, his investors, his first company. And left Mark with nothing. Was I just bait? I asked if he had used me. Mark smiled again. He said I was understating it. He did not use me. He built a strategy. He said I was a brilliant move. He explained how, 5 years ago, when he was ready to start his plan for revenge, he saw how I looked at David at that charity gala. He said I looked at David like I was starving. And David looked at me like I was a shiny, new trophy. So Mark decided to just stay out of the way. He just burned out and became beige, giving me the perfect excuse to run. He said I did all the rest myself. I listened, and my whole world was crumbling. My secret passion. My escape. My little life. It was all a show. A play directed by my quiet, burned-out husband. But he said that was not all. He said he could not have done it alone. He needed someone on the inside. Someone who hated David just as much as he did. Someone who had access to all his accounts, his servers, and his secrets. I asked who. He replied that, of course, it was Laura. Laura? I asked again. Mark nodded. David's wife. He said she was a brilliant, amazing woman. And while I was with David in room 417, he was often having dinner with Laura. Planning. Building their attack. And this morning, while I was in David's shower, their plan worked. The deal closed. Mark's algorithm, sold through a shell company run by Laura, wiped out David's main asset. By Friday, David would be bankrupt. Mark walked over to the folder of divorce papers still lying on the floor. He picked it up and tore it in half. I watched the pages flutter down onto the marble floor. Mark said that, of course, we were not getting divorced. He asked why he would. Why would he divorce his perfect, beautiful wife? His cover? His alibi? He said he needed me. He said that now that he was rich, truly rich, in a way David would never be again, we needed a new house. He said he had already bought a penthouse. Downtown. With a beautiful view of the city. He paused. And then he added that the penthouse was right across the street from the Hotel Zaza. He thought it would be fun for us to watch who parked out front now. He left. He just turned and walked into his office. Into his lair. His command center. I was left alone in the kitchen. I thought I had 2 lives. It turns out I had none. I thought I was a player. I was the chessboard. My secret phone, forgotten on the floor, vibrated. A text from David. He was asking where I was. He wrote that everything was collapsing, that Mark was somehow behind it. My real phone vibrated. A text from Mark. From the next room. He asked me to bring him a coffee. No sugar. I looked at the 2 phones. 2 worlds. 2 liars. But one was a predictable fool. And the other was the monster I was married to. I realized I had not escaped my beige prison. Mark had just repainted the walls. And that is the whole story. If you enjoyed this story and want to keep hearing more like it, please be sure to subscribe to the channel and hit the notification bell so you never miss a new release. Remember, your support is truly important and helps this channel continue to grow. But what do you think? There is not a single innocent person in this story. But who, in your opinion, is the real monster? Was it Sarah, who betrayed her husband because she was bored with her perfect life? Was it David, who lied to both his wife and his mistress because he thought he was untouchable? Or was it Mark? The man who let his wife cheat, paid for it, and waited coldly for years just to use her as a weapon in his revenge. Was this a brilliant strategy, or was it pure evil? And here is the biggest, toughest question: did Sarah deserve her new, luxurious, golden cage? Can you understand Mark's motives, or did he go too far by turning his own wife into a pawn? Let me know in the comments which side you are on, and why.